What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jay Debates. I'm your host. I go by the name of Jay, and we are now on to episode 14. Now, if you guys missed episode 13, go back and give that one a listen. It's titled, Was Jason Tatum Robbed of Winning Finals MVP? And with that one, we looked at Jason Tatum's performances in the finals and how he contributed to his Boston Celtics team winning their championship in the 2024 NBA Finals. And then on the flip side, we did the exact same thing with Jaylen Brown. We looked at his contributions, how he helped his team's championship run, and ultimately we compared the two. It was a pretty tough decision to make because both of these players have very good cases for winning Finals MVP, but ultimately, of course, I made a decision. So that is episode 13. Now moving on to episode 14. Let's go ahead and get into it. The topic, the question for episode 14 is, who won the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade? Again, who won the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade? Now, yesterday, most of us got the news of this NBA trade as it was the first of the offseason. And there has, of course, been a lot of mixed feelings, and it has been from both the media and from NBA fans. One side thinks the Thunder won the trade, while the other side thinks the Bulls won the trade. Now, before I bring up each team's case and get to comparing and decide for myself who I believe is the winner of this exchange, I must point out the elephant in the room really quick. I understand that NBA fans love Alex Caruso. And what I mean by this is, despite never putting up all-star numbers throughout his career and being nothing above a good role player, Caruso actually entered the top 10 in fan all-star voting among Western Conference guards in the 2021 through 22 NBA season, surpassing players like Russell Westbrook and Michael Conley during that time frame. In contrast, Giddey is one of the most hated players in the league due to a controversial situation involving him and a minor. Despite the NBA's investigation into this matter, they were never able to find conclusive evidence that he was in fact having an inappropriate relationship with a minor. This led to him being cleared and not facing any consequences from the NBA or from the law. But in general, whenever you have a situation that involves the words inappropriate, relationship, and minor, it is a horrible look, innocent or not. Therefore, because of this situation, it's easy to see why Giddey is so disliked publicly. To this day, he gets booed in a lot of NBA arenas. However, on this podcast, I will not factor in whether or not I like either of these two players. As with every other episode, it's my job to compare the two players, two teams, to whatever subjectively and make my decision without any bias. So I just had to put that out there. Let's go ahead and get into it now. We will look at each team's case for winning the trade, the Thunder's case, the Bulls' case, get into the players' contracts because that is a factor, get into the players' experience level because that's a factor, get into the actual player and what they have been doing statistically. That is another big factor, and then we will get into how each player fits their team and fulfills their team's needs, ultimately before I come to a decision. So let's start off with the Thunder and their newest player, Alex Caruso. So just keep this in mind. I'm going to talk about Caruso's contract briefly. So with Caruso's contract, he has a contract of about $9.46 million for the 2024 through 25 NBA season before becoming an unrestricted free agent. Like I said, keep that in mind. Now, let's move on to experience. So when it comes to experience, Caruso has played 7 total NBA seasons versus Josh Giddey's 3. He's played over 2 times as many years as Giddey and 3 times as many playoff games, and he is also an NBA champion. He's gained valuable knowledge and experience from future Hall of Famers like Rajon Rondo, like Anthony Davis, and like LeBron James. Josh Giddey, on the other hand, in his very short career, has played with very few seasoned vets even, and only one future Hall of Famer thus far if you consider SGA to be a future Hall of Famer. And me personally, I would say that he's definitely on pace to be a future Hall of Famer. I mean, his numbers look good, his achievements thus far. But, I mean, if you don't want to consider him a future Hall of Famer, that's up to you. I would consider him one just because he's on the right pace, and all he has to do is pretty much stay consistent. He's already at that level. But anyways, moving on. Caruso, he clearly has the edge over Giddey in terms of experience, and it's not close. Like I said, he is an NBA champion. Giddey has barely even played with seasoned vets, while on the other hand, you're talking about Caruso, who's played with all-time greats. So he definitely has more experience. He's definitely more of a pioneer, has more valuable knowledge that you learn from those type of all-time greats that he's played with. So let's look at Alex Caruso as a player. Let's look at his stats. So looking at the 2023 through 24 season first, Caruso played about 4 more minutes per game than Josh Giddey, and he averaged more steals per game, blocks per game, and he shot a better 3-point percentage and a higher true shooting percentage. And what stands out specifically is that is his superior 3-point percentage over Josh Giddey. Caruso shot about 7% better than Giddey last season using rounding. Also, his defensive edge stands out. Caruso averaged about 2 steals per game, while Giddey averaged just over a half a steal per game. And lastly, not only is Caruso a thief on defense, he's good when it comes to taking care of the basketball on the other end. He averages just over 1 turnover per game despite playing about 29 minutes per game. And that's very efficient in terms of protecting the basketball. Last season, Giddey averaged a little more than 2 turnovers per game despite playing 4 less minutes. So there's no questioning who is the better ball protector. Pause. And all in all, Caruso, he will provide your team with more possessions on average due to his ability to force turnovers on defense and not cause many on offense. So that's pretty much what I'm getting when I'm comparing these two players as far as the advantages that Caruso has over Giddey. And looking at how Caruso fulfills his team's needs, his new team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, Caruso, he will certainly improve the Thunder's overall defense as he is a 2-time all-defensive player, making the NBA's first and second team in the last 2 straight seasons. And with that being said, it's fair to assume that he will make another all-defensive team this year. So we'll just see, but it's even more fair to assume that he will improve the Thunder overall as a team defensively. The Thunder and any NBA team, for that matter, could always use more defense. Even though as a team, they were still pretty good defensively, ranking 11th in the whole league and fewest points allowed per game. I look for that. I look for them to go up in that category. And he will also improve the team's 3-point shooting, which is interesting considering that they had the highest 3-point percentage for a team at almost 39% last season. But with the acquisition of Caruso, I expect the Thunder to take more threes and rely more on their ability to stretch the floor as a team, considering that they were in the bottom half of the league for actual 3-point attempts per game. So it's weird that they were knocking down their threes, but they weren't really relying on their threes a lot or enough, especially in this new era that we're in. The 3-point jump shot is very important, so I expect that was a big reason as to why they brought him in as well, not just for his defensive ability, but for his 3-point shooting. He is a 40% 3-point shooter, so I expect them to be shooting a lot more threes this year. I also expect them, again, to be apt to allow even less points per game and move up in that top 10 to top 5 range in the league in that category. And overall, I think that Caruso will fit in well with this Thunder team due to his ability to successfully play his role without needing the ball in his hands a lot. And with that being said, that is Alex Caruso's case as far as, that is the Bulls' case as far as, that is the Thunder's case as far as winning the trade. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Bulls' case for winning the trade and their new acquired player, Josh Giddey. So firstly, we talked about Alex Caruso's contract. Let's talk about Josh Giddey's contract and what it means for the Bulls. So Giddey has a contract of about $8.35 million for the 24 through 25 NBA season. This is also the last year of his contract before becoming a restricted free agent in the 2025 through 26 NBA season. This contract overall is better than Caruso's contract because Giddey is being paid over $1 million less, and the Bulls have the option to match whatever offer he's thrown at the end of the upcoming season if they want to keep him, because Josh Giddey is again a restricted free agent. So on the flip side, not only do the Thunder have to pay Caruso more money for the upcoming season, but if an extension isn't agreed upon before the deadline, he could play elsewhere as soon as the 2025-26 NBA season. So it is actually possible that the Thunder only have Caruso for just 1 year. And don't get me wrong, it's possible also with Josh Giddey, but the Bulls definitely have more of a say. Like I said, they always have the option to match whatever he's offered because he is a restricted free agent compared to Alex Caruso. He could be like, if you guys aren't finna give me the bag, I'm gone. Like, I'm gonna go somewhere else where they're paying more. So you definitely got to give the contract edge to the Bulls. They definitely have the better contract now with receiving Josh Giddey. So let's move on to experience, and I'm going to talk about this briefly because I already concluded that Caruso has the more experience of the two. But let's just talk about it just shortly. So while Caruso certainly has the edge and experience in him playing, like I said, almost twice as many seasons as, or over twice as many seasons as Josh Giddey, in Giddey's short 3-year career, he already has played in 10 playoff games. All of these games being played this past postseason. But all in all, he does have some good playoff experience. His Thunder team made the Western Conference Finals. I'm sorry, the Western Conference Semifinals, and we're just 2 wins away from making it to the Conference Finals. Although Giddey is young, he does have some good playoff experience again already. And speaking of his age, him being only 21 is a big positive for the Bulls because he has a lot of time ahead of him to develop as a player and potentially become a really good role player or even a star. Alex Caruso, on the other hand, he's 30 years old. So the Bulls are going from a player who is likely to be nearing the end of their career to a young player just beginning his career with good potential. Not only does Giddey have the better contract, but he has an age gap of nearly 10 years on Caruso, which again favors the Bulls. So I'm not switching it up. Like I said, Caruso clearly has the edge and experience, but you cannot discount the youthfulness of Josh Giddey, how much younger he is, how much more potential that he has to grow and develop as a player compared to Caruso, who, like I said, he is nearing the end of his career. Yes, he's still good. Yes, he's still productive, but Father Time is undefeated, so keep that in mind. Now, looking at the stats, let's compare the stats. We brought up Caruso's case. While Caruso is clearly the better defender and shooter, outperforming Giddey in 3-point percentage, steals per game, and blocks per game, Giddey has proved to be the better player all around. In all 3 years since joining the league, Giddey has averaged more points, rebounds, and assists per game than Caruso, and it hasn't been close. In fact, the only stat of the 3 that Caruso has come close to Giddey in is points per game last season, and Giddey in this season averaged 12 points per game while Caruso averaged 10. But despite this, Giddey still outperformed Caruso in each of these 3 categories despite playing almost 4 less minutes per game in this past season. Giddey also averages more points and rebounds per game than Caruso in the playoffs throughout his career as well, despite playing almost 6 less minutes per game than average. So definitely got to give the edge as a player overall to Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, statistically, he is a better player. Like I said, of course, Caruso is the better shooter and the better defender, but Josh Giddey has shown the ability to get more done, to stuff the stat sheet more. And despite playing less minutes on average, he's been able to prove that he can do this. He can stuff the stat sheet more than Alex Caruso can. He can do more things. So looking at how Josh Giddey fulfills the team needs in the 2023 through 24 NBA season, the Bulls as a team were 22nd in points per game, 14th in rebounds per game, and 23rd in assists per game. I'm sorry. Look, Anybody that's from Chicago, I apologize, but that shit is terrible. All right. I don't really have room to talk because the Pistons probably are 30 in all of these categories, but I'm just trying to figure out how did y'all even make it to the play-in. I mean, that's beyond me. But anyways, as far as how Giddey fulfills the Bulls' needs, look for the Bulls to improve as a team statistically across the board. With all the statistics I just brought up, it's clear that Giddey is by far the more productive player on the stat sheet, as he has proven he can do more in less time. To add on to this, Giddey is a walking triple-double threat due to his scoring, passing, and rebounding abilities. He possesses the rare ability to do all three of these things at a high level and has already recorded 11 triple-doubles, which is fifth among all guards since his 2021 through 22 rookie campaign. Not to mention, he is the youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double. He recorded 4 triple-doubles at age 19 alone. So, when you talk about how he fits into this Bulls team, they're not really scoring too high. They're not rebounding too high. They're not assisting too high. In fact, they're the bottom 20 of scoring and assisting, and they're barely in the top half for rebounds per game. Giddey can do all three of these things at a pretty high level, so I expect all of these things to go up across the board. I expect him to actually fulfill more team needs than Alex Caruso, so I got to give the edge to Giddey in fulfilling the team's needs. Not saying that I don't believe that Giddey won't be. I'm sorry, not saying that I don't believe that Caruso won't be a great addition to this Thunder team and that he won't play his role well. But I think that Giddey perhaps provides more to the Bulls than what Caruso would provide to the Thunder. So, all in all, it's time to come to a decision. And in regards to this, the team that won the Giddey Caruso trade was the Chicago Bulls. They acquired a younger player with a better and cheaper contract who puts up better numbers across the board. I'm willing to go as far as to say the Thunder were robbed in this trade. And if you just looked at the things that we compare, I mean, really the only edge that Caruso has over Josh Giddey is the fact that he does have more experience and he is a better defender. But even then, I just feel like the experience is kind of like a double-edged sword because, yes, he has more experience. Yes, he's won a championship, but he is older. Like, experience is good if he was in his mid to late 20s. He's not. He's 30. So that is a big part of, like, even his positive is still somewhat a negative. And yes, like I said, I do believe that Caruso will fit in well, but he's nearing the end of his career. He could be gone from the Thunder as soon as next season because he will be an unrestricted free agent, and he is overall less productive than Josh Giddey. He may fit the team better than Giddey, but I feel like, and what I mean by that is he may fit the Thunder better than Giddey fit the Thunder when he played for the Thunder. But I feel the Thunder could have at least acquired some picks in this trade or got a younger and better player to fulfill the team's quote-unquote needs of shooting threes and playing defense because, like I said, I mean, the Thunder, they were already a really good team in both of these categories. We talked about their three-point percentage, best in the league. We talked about defense. They're 11th in opposing points allowed, so they were already really good in both of these categories. And Giddey, to me, he will have a better opportunity to thrive with Chicago, considering he will likely be getting more playing time and have the basketball in his hands a lot more due to the Bulls, their lack of depth as a team. So there you have it. We just looked at each team's case. We compared the players, the careers, the experience, the way that they will fulfill each of their team's needs. And all in all, I was able to come to a conclusion. Like I said, it wasn't a hard conclusion for me to make. I mean, to me, if you're the Thunder, you gotta get something else out of that. Like I said, Caruso is a really good player. I'm not sitting up here saying that he's trash or anything of that nature. But what I am saying is, I just feel like they should get more for a young, promising player. Because, like I said, he is one of those rare players who actually can get triple-doubles. There's not a lot of NBA players who get triple-doubles throughout their career. Not even one. and he's already racked up 11. So if you're the Thunder, I do wish that the Thunder could have got more for this situation. I'm not a Thunder fan or anything like that, but a trade should be a bit more even than this, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm not gonna knock the Thunder. They clearly know what they're doing. They obviously won. In my opinion, they obviously won that Clippers trade that they made a while back when they acquired SGA for PG and they got those picks and all of that stuff. So I mean, they have rebuilt pretty quickly. So that's that. But the verdict is in. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't care what platform you're on. I'm probably gonna drop another one today. I apologize, I've been gone for the last 2-3 days, but I am going to stay consistent. That's a promise. So with every new thing that comes up in the league, and even if not, I have plenty of debates to go off of. So stay tuned and be looking out for the next one. Again, thank you all for listening to the very end. This is Jay Debates, and I'm out.